Hey, okay. So this isn't going to take very long, but I wanted to come on this live and share with you this concept of rooting so we can rise. Last week, I was having a conversation with my own mentor about what is it that I really do? And the truth is, I prepare leaders and business owners in here to make and hold significantly more money than they're currently bringing in without sacrifice, overwhelm, overcomplicating the process, and without self sabotage. And so, this concept of preparing people, like usually we always think of making more money, holding more money as something we have to do externally to create it, when in fact it's actually something you have to do internally to, one, be able to create it, but also be able to hold it and be able to sustain it and replicate it. And for me, the only way that you can rise way beyond your current level of success is to root yourself deep and to build and grow deep roots and anchor yourself in these roots so that no matter comes your way, you're unshakable, you're unmovable, you have the capacity to hold it. So before I share with you this whole concept around rooting to rise, I want to introduce myself briefly in case you are new to me. Hi, I'm Ilsa. For the last 20 years or so, I've worked as a psychotherapist, an expansion expert, and a strategist. I marry neurology, identity work, strategy to help leaders and business owners tame the chaos, both the internal chaos and the external chaos, and so that they can move past any barriers that is keeping them from their next financial breakthrough. Because oftentimes, and this is where we're going back to the concept of rooting to rise, oftentimes when we're capped financially or when we're moving backwards in some ways, like maybe you had a really big month or really big year and now it's kind of moving backwards. Oftentimes it's not a doing problem, it's not a branch and leaf problem. If you're not seeing the fruits, it's a root problem. So the external things we create always start in the area you can't see, inside you, in the unseen realms. So to follow up with this metaphor of the tree, a tree always goes in two directions, below and above ground. And for most of us, all we ever see is the above ground. And that's where we tend to focus our energy. But the truth is that the biggest, strongest trees, the trees with all the fruits, are the ones that have the strongest, deepest, and widest root system. So the strongest trees have roots that are as big, if not bigger, than whatever you see above the surface. And I was actually talking about this in another live a few months ago that was similar, but over I want to say in the spring or early summer, we had a tree in our yard fall over. We were having a bad windstorm. We have windstorms here in Boulder, Colorado. And one of the trees, one of our aspen trees, which was actually pretty big, I was heartbroken because it was a tree that kind of hides a road and stuff, but literally like just a tree toppled it over and it was leaning against our house. And when we finally took a look at it, it was clear that for some reason the taproot hadn't really grown and the root system was very shallow. And so it didn't take much for the tree to be knocked over and it had to be cut down. There was no fixing it. It couldn't build roots after the fact. So for most of us, when we're looking at money, we're looking at our business, we're looking at the branches, we're looking at the leaves, we're looking at the fruits, and we're putting all our efforts on the external domain, on what we can see. We're putting all our efforts on trying to get our business tree, so to speak, to get as big as possible, as quickly as possible. But that's actually, when you do that, when you focus only on strategy and you try to grow real quick without having built the roots to hold it, that's when you will get no flowers, or you will get no fruits. No fruits will ripen, or you will get fruits and they don't ripen. There's something missing. They're not tasty. They're not good. That's also when any storm, internal or external, will take a toll on you and will potentially topple you over. Because again, these roots that are the foundation of you being able to hold the results you want and the bigness of yourself and your business are not, they're not deep enough, they're not wide enough to withhold it. They are not wide enough to withhold anything that come your way and to sustain the growth. I often tell clients that growing too quickly is extremely triggering to the nervous system and will often create a self-sabotage pattern where nothing stops working, where you have a personal crisis, because it's literally your nervous system's way to try to like bring it back in so that the roots can continue to grow in line with the size of the tree so that you don't actually, in the end, sabotage the whole thing. So it feels oftentimes when you're doing something and results are not flowing, it feels like the universe or life or whatever is against you, but actually it's giving you the time you need to be able to step into those shoes. I have this metaphor I use sometimes where I'll say, it's like we're 4-year-olds walking in our mother's high heels, and we keep wondering why we don't look more graceful and why we're falling on our face. And essentially, when it comes to growing your wealth, growing your impact, growing your visibility, growing your money and your business, your reach, you have to have time for your feet to grow so you can walk gracefully in these heels like a boss, and you can feel steady and strong in them. So if you want bigger results, if you want more money, more visibility, higher quality clients and more contracts, then you have to pause and be willing to build your roots and to root deep in your own self, in your own self-leadership, in your own self-trust, so that you become an unwavering, unshakable force for peace and power within your life and business, no matter what shows up, no matter what comes your way. And one of the easiest way to see that maybe you're not focusing enough on the roots is if something happens and you're shaken to your core about it. You get a no from a client that felt like a great fit, and there's something internal, anxiety, overwhelm, a sense of rejection is coming up. You have a team member leave. You have a huge launch and you make a whole bunch of money, and then suddenly there's all this overwhelm and anxiety that comes up. Essentially, when you feel super steady and rooted and anchored and grounded in your life and in your business, or when you feel like a leaf in the wind at the mercy of any strong force wind that might come your way. So when you're able to really build these roots, which is the nervous system work, is the brain work, is the vitality and energy upgrade work. But when you're able to build these strong roots and you can anchor yourself in self-leadership and you can feel deeply anchored in self-trust, that's when, from that depth, that's when the clarity and the courage emerges. In that depth, it is that depth that creates the capacity you need to build, to create the results you want, and also to hold them with a sense of ease and grace, to replicate them with a sense of ease and grace. So when you grow deep roots through that nervous system capacity work, through retraining your and rewiring your brain, through upgrading your energy level and your vitality, then you can feel safe, you can feel strong, you can feel confident and capable with more. That strength, that sense of safety, of confidence, of capacity, capability with more is how you know that your roots have the depth, the width to hold the growth you're trying to create, which is why when I was talking to my mentor, it's like, I don't just help my clients create that next level. I help them prepare themselves for that next level. I help them ready themselves and ready their business for that next level so that they can hold it and create it successfully without all the rub, without all the angst and the overwhelm that can come from being an entrepreneur and a leader in this world. When we're able to do that, we're able to really focus not just out there, but underneath and build these roots. That's when you start to be able to move through your life and your business fully anchored in what I call calm certainty. It's a sense of peace and being lean back and being relaxed, but also having such an unwavering sense of conviction and knowing that it's right, that nothing can topple you over. It creates this sense that all is well, that no matter what comes your way, it's for you. I have this saying I will sometimes tell clients, I'll put in social media, something like, your business is always working, your life is always working. It's either working for you and you're getting the results you want, or it's working on you. But it's always working. That sense that all is well, that sense of deep trust is what I mean by that. Like you feel so grounded, so rooted, so anchored in your own self, in your business, in your life, that you trust that no matter what is happening, even if it doesn't seem like it's working at first glance, it's actually working. It's working at preparing you so that you can create the results you want and be able to hold them with grace. So as we rewire our nervous system and we start to recalibrate our brain and upgrade our identity and our energy level for the expansion we want internally, where no one can see it, then we start to actually recalibrate and expand our capacity externally. So our capacity to be seen in our authority and expertise and to show up from that authority and expertise. It's literally in the way you move, in the words you use, in your tone, in your energy, like your people can see it. It starts to recalibrate and expand your capacity to show up in that powerful, unwavering way, to do hard stuff. And what's really amazing was actually, this was another part of the conversation I was having with my mentor, but I was telling her how, what's interesting is for me, as I do more of this, as I grow the roots alongside growing the branches and, harvesting the fruits and all of that, I'm realizing that what used to be hard isn't hard anymore. So this rooting system allows you to do hard stuff and to realize it's not that hard anymore. It was hard to an old version of you, but it's no longer hard to the current version of you that you are stepping into. And that's essentially what this is. As you grow your roots of self-leadership, as you grow your roots of capacity, you literally become a new version of you. And so this focusing and recalibrating ourselves through the root work, so to speak, I like that, the root work. you're essentially increasing your capacity to create and receive the results you want without feeling overwhelmed and without needing to sabotage your progress. So you want to think of the strategy work, which I do a lot of with clients, but the strategy has to be balanced out with the identity and neurology of the root system. So the strategy is literally the branches, the leaves, and it is in the end what kind of creates the results. So I am not one of these people who believes that, you can rub a crystal on yourself and then clients are showing up out of nowhere. I truly believe that you have to be in aligned action. But the strategy are the branches and the leaves, and then your nervous system, your brain, your identity work, the vitality and energy level work, that is the root and the trunk. That is the foundation of the tree that you are growing, and it is the foundation of any fruit that will grow, that you'll be able to harvest and you'll be able to enjoy. So for me, if you're experiencing your income being capped, or maybe it's even like you're seeing an income reversal, or you're finding yourself procrastinating or sabotaging your progress, or results feel really slow and unsatisfactory, or simply nothing's working. You're like, I call that the desert zone, like nothing's growing, nothing's working, no matter what you're doing. It's not a strategy problem. It's a root problem. It's a neurology and identity problem. And I want to invite you to actually pause, and rather than doing more, I want to invite you to realize that there's nothing to do in a situation like that except come home to you and just start to see what's going on in here. How do I grow my roots so I can increase my capacity? What if everything that's showing up out there is not working against me but for me? And it's just giving me the time I need to become a new level of me that will be able to hold the results I want. 90% of failure is actually a failure to cater to growing deep and wide roots. It's a failure to address your nervous system, the neurology, the identity that is behind and underneath the strategy. That is the foundation of all the strategy. This root work is basically the secret to exploding your results, your receivership, and your influence. When we bought the current house that we're living in, there was a couple trees in the backyard, but there wasn't a whole lot. And so my husband and I actually went to it's called a tree farm, literally. And we bought a bunch of trees and we had them installed. And one of the things that the guy he gave us this root solution and basically said, hey, for the first year, every month, you want to mix this much with a huge and nourish the roots, grow the roots. If you want a tree that's going to be there for years, that's going to not end up with bugs or beetles attacking it or not topple over, and just a really resourceful and resilient tree that's going to grow faster, you want to focus on the roots. And this is my invitation to you. This is the secret to exploding your results, your receivership, and your influence. Strong, deep roots allow you to show up as a leader in your authority, and they allow you to create a life and a business of significance. They allow you to step into a level of presence that starts to infuse everything you do, and a level of embodiment that allows you to create that next level of result and impact without being in any way drained by it. So this is the invitation to start with the expansion of your neurology, the root work. And then to trust and to know that as you do the identity and the neurology work, then you will start to see, as you do the root work, you will start to see that work starts to show up, that expansion starts to spread and be mirrored and materialize in the outer world, in the size of your reach, in the results that ripen and that you're able to enjoy, in your ability to essentially be an unwavering force in your own life and business, and to have the capacity to hold anything that comes your way, good or bad. You will never be able to reach, achieve, or hold more than your own capacity, than the depths of your roots, because your roots are your capacity. A small container can receive a little. A big container can receive a whole lot, a shit ton. Your roots define how big you are. When you focus on that neurology, that nervous system capacity work, that identity work, you can rise higher, you can achieve bigger without doubting yourself, without stressing, without struggling, without pushing and hustling, without sabotaging yourself or having to sacrifice and pay way too high of a cost for it, both personally in terms of your health, mental health, physical health, but also socially in terms of how much time and energy you are giving this business, these fruits. We want a harvest where the fruits just fall when they're ripe. And there's so much trust that you just do what you need to do and the fruits fall. And you, meanwhile, are deeply grounded and rooted. No cost. No cost to you having all the fruits you want to enjoy. Feeling deeply nourished by your life, by your work, emotionally, spiritually, financially, is not just a potential. It's not just a possibility. For me, it's a right. But it's something we claim ownership of by essentially creating the foundation for that. So I would love to invite you to grow some deep roots to make you unshakable, roots of clarity, roots of certainty, roots of calm confidence, roots of capacity that will essentially like create the ripples that you desire in your life, in your work, in your legacy, in your income and revenue. If you want to be able to walk gracefully in these high heels, you have to grow your feet. If you want to increase and expand your income, your impact, your legacy, you have to expand who you are first. And then the right strategy to get to your destination shows up. So that you're able, the right strategy that is simple and will create steady and sustainable results, as well as deeply supportive money. But that strategy, that knowing, that clarity only emerges when you know yourself, when you trust yourself, when you have anchored in the unwavering ground of safety, when you're safe to yourself, when you trust that you're not going to sacrifice yourself or what matters most or sabotage to create results that in the end you're not even going to enjoy. So I would love to be on this journey with you. I would love to find out how bold, how big, how self-expressed, how clear, how filled with authority, how powerful, impactful, majestic you can really be when you root deeply and you shift all the shit that's been in your way, all the shit that's been keeping you small and keeping you from not going deep enough. And if that's of interest to you, then let's do some work. The way I always start with clients is in a 90-minute one-on-one with me. I call that intensive Wired for Wealth. We do a lot of deep work in this. This is not a sales call. This is essentially your like your first real true experience of doing that neurology and identity work and starting to build the foundation of these roots. So in the work I do with clients, I marry and mix the nervous system work, the neurology, the identity work, and the strategy to shift your current set point to create a completely new experience within you, within your life, within your leadership, within your work, and of course, within your income. And it's that marriage of these three pillars, so to speak, that allows you to tame the chaos and become still and spacious in any storm, any internal storm in our personal lives, in our emotional lives, and any external storms in the world. It's what allows us to unlock your power and to break through some of these invisible barriers that are keeping you small, that are keeping your income capped. It is the kind of work that allows you to effortlessly start to take aligned action with clarity and actions that will actually create consistent and steady results. And it is the kind of work that allows you to create the revenue, the higher revenue that you desire from this place of much deeper capacity, much wider capacity, and a sense of confidence and that calm certainty that I was talking about. So if you want to experience this work firsthand, these 90-minute intensive are offered at 55% off. I believe I have one left for September, and then at some point in October, I might open a couple more. But just go in there and book it, and then you will get to pick your time and day to experience it. All right, the link to this is in the description of this live. I'm sending you lots of love and hoping that this is giving you a different perspective to look at creating results and look at how to spread and split your focus in terms of the work you're doing to grow both the kind of influence that you're having in the world, as well as the kind of results and revenue that you're creating in your work. All right. Mwah. Bye.